The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. The best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
This is the best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun on AM 950. Tonight we're going to play parts of interviews from 3 different guests. We've had some amazing people appear on the show, and we think that they should be heard from again. Enjoy the show. We are talking with David L. Sloan, who is the author of Robert the Doll. He's also runs Ghost Key West. Go to ghostkeywest.com and see all the tours that they're offering, as well as all the information. You can also order the book through Amazon or go through GhostBox Radio and go to the link, GhostBox Book Club, and order it through that. So we have been talking about Robert the Doll, some very eye-opening stuff that is being said here. And it's a very good reminder to people about respect, and not just even about Robert the Doll, but respect anywhere you go. I mean, obviously that's the grand design is always respect, but when you're doing paranormal, respect is very much a big part of it. The question that kind of what's in the chat, a couple people had asked, was there ever any thought to try to remove the spirits from the doll?
There's people who try. People of different levels. I noticed there was a comment asking if he has any reactions to clergy. I've had priests come in and rent the fort out to do their own ghost hunts, and there's been no reaction to that. Now it's interesting because in other parts of the fort, we've had close to 100 people burned with their crosses. So there are those types of reactions. But around Robert, I've never seen any reaction like that. And then you get people who come in, because obviously Robert attracts a lot of people who are spiritual on different levels, who are into ghosts on different levels. And so people do try to move his spirit on, without doubt. None of it's ever, official through the museum or anything like that. But a lot of people try to do that, and I don't think they've met with much success. One of the things Cindy Kaza was saying when she was there was that the way the portal's set up is not one that can be closed.
That's interesting. And, I personally never really thought about basically a traveling portal is what this is, because, now Robert is pretty much in one spot, but, he hasn't always been that way. I also wanted to quickly say, when you brought up the child spirit, watching the program, the one thing that I had thought about when it looked like that Robert the Doll would get jealous with either Jean or the young lady in the 70s who was putting the other stuffed animals into the rocking chair and put Robert to the side. To me, that immediately felt like to your point, that was a child spirit of some kind, because that just seemed like, we're supposed to be best friends. Who are these other stuffed animals, basically? Am I kind of on the right track with that?
Yeah, and so after Gene Otto died, he was the boy who had the doll, and then he died when he was 74. So he had Robert for a long time. They say he spent his last 10 years up in the turret room at the house there, kind of losing his mind, and that he was locked in that room with Robert the Doll. And then Myrtle Reuter bought the house, and she became Robert's new mommy. And I talked to her family, and they said that, she treated that doll like it was a child. She really felt there was a child there, and it changed her. So when Robert was donated to the museum, he has a little lion with him, Leo the lion.
Yeah.
That sits in his lap. That was donated by Myrtle. The donation form says that belonged to Jean, but it's something from the 70s. But you can see, though, it's like, they're a toy that has its own toy. They're definitely treating it as a child. And I think somebody asked about it being separated from Leo. Um, Robert doesn't like drunks. There were some drunk people on the tour one night, and they were mouthing off to him. He threw his stuffed lion at them.
Incredible.
So these kind of things happen.
Gosh, there's some really good questions coming in. And I know, Sarah, you've been asking a lot of great questions, but I want to get around to some other folks who have a chance to ask, and I'll get to some of yours again if I can. Danielle had asked, do you think Gene may be attached to Robert now? I think that's a fantastic question.
Yeah, I think he is without doubt. His spirit's definitely not welcome at his home. He always wanted his home turned into a museum to him, but I think his wife's made it very clear that he's not welcome there. And we do pick up on his presence around the fort. Something interesting the other night, somebody got a very interesting EVP where at the end of it said bonjour. So I'm thinking, okay, where's the French coming from? And of course, Gene spent 10 or 15 years over in France.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that's him, but that was the first thing that came to mind. And I do think that they're still very close to each other.
I mean, it just seemed like, yeah. And also when those last 10 years, as well as when Gene would have Robert in the turret room when he was doing his work, the stories of children and people walking by, and that they started to avoid the street, right? Because they actually saw both Gene working on a painting, but Robert moving, right?
Yep, you see Robert moving on his own. So they'd cross the street. Or I still talk to some people who say, "Oh, I wouldn't walk by that house."
Right. Jeremy asks, because I think the story, whoops, I don't want that one up yet. I think the story of Robert is this: can a living person become attached to Robert? And I think that's exactly what has happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of living people become attached to Robert. Some people develop an attachment to Robert that I don't think is extremely healthy. But it's interesting, because a lot of people, they'll see Robert as this evil thing. But then I've noticed children, especially children with autism, they'll pick up on the child spirit in Robert right away. And they'll go up and they'll say, "Hey, I love you, Robert. I want to be your friend, Robert."
Yeah. I mean, you're attached to Robert.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, how do you feel about that? I mean, I'm assuming you're looking at that as more on the sane end of the spectrum there.
No, I think it's been insane over the last 26 years. I've had two terrifying incidents that I don't think anybody would describe as sane. The one with the getting yanked out of bed, and then the other one happened just about a year ago when I was traveling, and I tell you, everything that could possibly go wrong was going wrong. And I don't mean one thing or two things. I'm talking 20 or 30 or 40 things. And when I finally decided to abort the trip and cut it short and head home, as soon as I did that, it was almost like I fell into a deep sleep. And then I was pretty certain I was having a heart attack. And as I came up, something rolled out of me. It was one of those spirits with Robert, and somehow it had ended up on the road with me. And as soon as that was gone, the bad luck streak stopped. And it was all tied to me going back to where the doll was. And I still don't know. I haven't really had time to make sense of all of that still.
Do you think that your attachment to Robert started before you came to Key West and before you came to the house? I know you didn't know what that doll was, but I mean, you were lured out there.
I sometimes wonder, and I used to think that kind of like one of my purposes in life was to really get the truth out there about the doll. But then after we started doing tours with the fort, I discovered that my great-great-great-grandfather He was with the Pennsylvania 47th. The fort was built by Union soldiers, and I found out that he helped build the fort. So I almost think it was like Robert was actually introducing me to that part of my past.
We gotta wonder. I mean, you're not 119 years old. Okay, we'll put that. We'll take that out of the way right now.
Right.
Do you think there is some kind of past life thing going on here, perhaps?
Could be. I'd never say no to that.
How interesting. Now Tom, I think, has a good question, because we're talking about the curses and stuff. But has Robert brought good luck to anybody who maybe have asked, or just in general?
Yeah. Yeah, and those people are in the minority because, not as many people are going in there asking for these good things. But I know several people who have said, hey, I went in there and asked them for blessings, and, they'll talk about great things happening. So right. It does go in both directions.
All right, something just happened over here. And I'm just trying to kind of recreate it here because I don't understand my shirt tail here, or, on my shirt, it just flipped by itself. And I was just trying to recreate it to see if I moved or something. I know I moved, but this thing just flipped right over, and I don't know what that is. So I'm not trying to turn it into something, but I when something is really unnatural, you notice. So I'm just curious about that. So we're just going to leave that at that for the moment. Let's see here. Let's go take a look at any other questions here in the chat. That kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So, I mean, it's really it's such an interesting story here. There's so many layers to this. And what I really find that's very interesting is the seduction that Robert brings to people. And I think it's actually even bigger than like we're talking about with you, which is more of a, if you will, more of an intimate one. But I mean, all of us who are interested by it, it says that there's what, how many people come and visit Robert every year?
Yeah. I mean, he some days he'll get 100 visitors. So he's definitely, I mean, Key West is pretty nice too, but a lot of people go to Key West just to see Robert the Doll. And it's interesting because, of course, paranormal tourism is a huge thing, and there's ghost tours in just about every city you go to, and there's a lot of things like this. I think what's very unique about Robert is he's very tangible. So it's not like going here and you might see Robert. You know that you're going to see at least the shell of the doll. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people go through there and then they actually encounter the spirit or one of the spirits attached to him as well. So it's very unique with that. He's without doubt the world's most haunted doll. Annabelle has had the movies made about her. But when you look at the number of people who report being cursed by Annabelle versus Robert, there's a lot more with Robert. And Annabelle's not very accessible right now. Some people do get to see her, but that's rare. So Robert really is one of a kind.
Absolutely. And the thing is I feel like that there's a lot more people who have documented seeing Robert move than Annabelle. And I know it's not meant to be a competition, but right. It is something that is worth noting as well, that there is a lot of, people who don't know these other people, that, there's decades apart between these moments, mm-hmm. that they're all seeing things that is, that's similar. I mean, that's pretty important. So with that, I'm just kind of seeing if there's any questions that I have missed on here, because this is really interesting. And I'm just seeing someone had asked, and I want to ask this question: do you think over time that Robert has become more powerful?
Yes and no. Obviously his energy feeds off of other people. One thing that I did find his energy used to be a lot more powerful at the artist house, which is the house where he grew up, and it's this beautiful bed and breakfast right now.
Mm-hmm.
And his energy was more powerful there but that's when he was still locked up in the back of the museum. He wasn't on display.
You are listening to the best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. Remember, you can hear full past episodes, see upcoming events, and order books of the authors we have on the show by going to ghostboxradio.com. Don't forget to like us over on Facebook, look us up at GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun, and finally, please consider supporting me on Patreon. We have a special, unique audio content that you'll not find anywhere else, plus special episodes. On Patreon, you can find me as GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We'll be back with another guest after the break. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
The best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
Why don't we talk about pets a little bit?
Yeah, I was reading a bunch of the comments that came in on the GhostBox page and on your page because a lot of people replied there. Some of them are so touching. It's kind of like, I'm not crying.
No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
You are. Yeah, there's a couple of them in there. I'm just like, man, that's beautiful but sad at the same time.
And so I want to first talk a little bit about last night. I was at home, and so in that home that I've been in for nearly 20 years, we've had a total of 3 cats there. One cat named Dave, who is a rag doll, and one cat named AJ, and then my current cat, Linus. And so last night, and AJ has always been the little scrawny one, just little had a lot of vim and vigor to her, but she was one that often would get forgotten. And so last night I said, AJ, if you're here, can you make the lights flicker? And nothing happened. I didn't expect it to. It's totally okay. This morning I wake up around 5 a.m., which is gross, but I did anyway. And I was kind of in bed, and to my left is where the bathroom is, and there is a nightlight in there. So there's a little bit of light in there. And I see this silhouette of a cat walking out of the bathroom, and it's not Linus.
How cool is that?
I mean, it is absolutely 100% not Linus. And she went behind the clothes basket because I don't put anything away, and then there was that was really about it. And it was one of those things that I just like, wait, did I just really see that? I mean, I wasn't like half asleep. I was just like, I look over and I see this little creature walking, and I'm like, unbelievable, and it was so sweet. It was her. It was beautiful. I love it. I miss her very, very much. So the question was last week, have you been visited by a pet after they passed? If so, what happened? And boy, folks, did you tell me what happened. So we're gonna read through some of these. And Adam, I think you might have had one too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did put one in there.
Why don't we talk about that in the next segment?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Lexi starts us off, not from my latest kitty who passed, but my first cat that I had ever. I used to feel a cat jump on my bed at night when I was little and would go to pet a cat, and there wouldn't be a cat there. Now, Rob Guttrow, who you said that you're just listening to that episode.
Yeah, I was.
That's one of the things he had said as well. That's most common. I've had that as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Adam, if you heard the part where Rob says that that the pets who passed, they actually help find your current pet. Like they connect you.
Yeah, I got to that section of it on my lunch break at work when I was listening to that one today, and it makes sense. It really does.
It does, and it was funny because, not that I doubted him by any stretch of imagination, but, it's just like, I don't know if they told him or whatever. But then Jody, when I was in Stillwater today, we were talking about stuff, and she said the same thing, as she's a medium. And it was like, wow, that's really cool, because I never actually really heard that before.
And it makes total sense because after a pet dies and you decide to finally get another pet, you're going out there blindly, because the pet can't answer you when you're at the pound or at a breeder or wherever you might be getting that pet from. But there is something that will attract you to a certain animal.
I think so. And I was really missing Dave, and Linus looks an awful lot like Dave. So it's just interesting. Mandy Beach says, yes, different ones in different ways throughout the years. Seeing them out of the corner of my eyes, dreams, which Rob says that's like the number one way that they come back to you. Hearing them meow, heard the jingle of one of my dog's collar tags once, and feeling them jump on the bed at night. And actually, a couple years ago, after my 20-year cat Jezebel passed, I was listening to your Sunday night GhostBox live show, and I heard her meow come through the spirit box. It had only been a couple of days after she passed, so I was really focused on her coming through, and she did. I remember 2 other people had commented that they heard a meow too, so I knew I didn't just make it up. It was pretty amazing, so thank you for that. That's very nice.
Right on.
That's very. I miss doing those spirit box sessions. It's just doing this 5 nights a week is, it's just weird. It's just I don't think I could do 6 lives a week.
No, but you did hop on a few weeks ago and do one. I was
did.
watching that, and that was fun.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
I need to do that again. Lisa says I haven't seen them, but I have definitely felt them crawling on the bed at night. If it brings me comfort. It's really interesting. Kind of keep track of how many people are feeling their animals jumping on the bed. Mm-hmm. Diana says, I wish, and that makes me feel sad because I would like her to be able to experience that. Anne says, yes, our cat Mittens, after having her for 18 years, we heard her meows and saw her shape walking around, kind of like what I just saw. Even the dog looked that direction and went over and sniffed. My husband and I watched it at the same time. That's nice.
Wow, that's one of those ones that I did come across on the comments, and I'm like, oh.
That is really nice. Let's see here. This is a longer one. Kelly says, my Shih Tzu, Rosie, passed in 2016. Did you have your hand over the button when I was saying that? After battling stomach cancer. She was 14. I was in such deep grief after she passed, I couldn't eat. For a month, I only ingested protein bars twice a day. It was all I could choke down and lost 30 pounds. About 2 months after she passed, she started visiting me in my dreams. The first time the dream was so real. My grandma, who had passed in 2009, came to me in that dream as well. She told me she had Rosie and was taking excellent care of her. Wow.
That's beautiful.
When I woke up, I could still smell my grandmother's funeral. Oh, God, perfume. Sorry, perfume. It's my grandmother's perfume. That's one way to ruin a good story, isn't it?
Yeah, I can smell my grandmother's funeral because they all have that weird plant, no matter what funeral.
They have that. Well, they have that rose smell.
Yeah.
Which, odd, her name's Rosie. My grandma also told me in that dream that she would send signs that Rosie was still with me. To this day, 7 years later, I'll get signs from Rosie and my grandma. Either they'll visit me together or one by one in dreams. Sometimes I see a cardinal, my grandma's favorite bird. I'll randomly see or hear the name Rosie on radio or TV, absolutely, and Rosie isn't a common name. I've had a couple of times when random strangers have given me a rose at concerts, bars, etc., so I know she's still with me. Well, luckily, Bounty doesn't use Rosie anymore as a tag person. Where she'd do the quicker picker upper.
That's a pull.
That really is. It really is. It shows that I am not young. It shows that I've been around for a while. Jennifer says that I am not positive, but I think so. I still see my old black lab on occasion, mostly at the cabin. Out of the corner of my eye, I do double take, and she's gone. I have heard collar tags jingling when all the other dogs are in for the night. Speaking of jingling, Sarah Beck also says, I heard his collar jingling and felt him jumping on the bed to snuggle in. Also, my kids heard or felt him at different times. He was such a good dog. Moving on, Dale says, one of my dogs passed away later that night. I was in the bathroom, and I see her walk in through a closed door. I think she was telling me it was okay. Isn't it something that We have to have them tell us that it's okay, as we are so grief-stricken.
Yeah, because, like with a dog, they're almost like, and I hate to say it, but they're like eternally a toddler.
Yeah.
And, cats, their man's complacent roommate. I get that. But, a dog almost seems like it needs more care than a cat will. So I know when my dog Annie, when she finally goes, we're going to hear the jingles and we're going to hear her, because she doesn't bark, but she does this little thing.
How does that go again? Okay, so that's great.
So, that's what we'll end up hearing.
Absolutely. Let me do two more before we head into break here. A month after my cat Sabretooth passed in 2006, I had my tonsils out. This is Michelle. Sabretooth and I were soulmates. We had an incredible fur. We had an incredible fur baby and fur mommy connection. His passing devastated me. During my recovery from surgery at home, I was laying in the recliner, trying to sleep the pain away, when I felt something jump on top of me and curled up on the same spot where Sabretooth used to lay on me. I felt his weight on me and was able to pet him, feeling his body but not seeing him. I could also hear his purring. We had no other pets at the time. I knew it was Sabretooth, as he used to lay on me and purr whenever I didn't feel well. I know 100% that he was there to heal me. Isn't that something?
That's beautiful, and that's also a really cool name.
It is. It is a pretty cool name. It's really good. Cheryl says, my little buddy came to visit me again today. He liked to make shapes with his toys, lines, triangles, squares, and 1, 2, 3 designs. He also sends me dimes, sometimes see one falling out of the sky.
That's kind of cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, she also sent me a picture of there's 5 toys, excuse me, and they're kind of like almost shaped in a line, but kind of a pyramid. They start the larger ones at the bottom, and it gets to the top where it's just one, and it's really interesting. Wow. We've been talking about pets in the afterlife, and it sounds like that. All of you are really enjoying hearing these stories. These are really nice to hear. I have one I want to read, and then we'll get Adam to talk about his. Todd says, 3 days after Elvis, my golden retriever of 12.5 years, came to me in a dream. We were up at the school grounds and park where we walked regularly. Words, Adam.
I hate that word.
I really don't, yeah.
I can't do that word. So normally he would walk with his dog there.
Right. Let's try it one more time. Regularly.
Yeah, that's why I always switch it out.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Thesaurus is our friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly words aren't mine. He was running behind a pack of dogs and didn't look so good. I was shocked to see him, and I called him to me. I could feel him as I pet him, and I blurted out how much I missed him, and I was glad he was back. He looked at me and said, "Dad, these dogs are fixing to cross the bridge, and we're having a hard time. It's my job to help them understand, and I need to go back and help them." I said, "Okay, boy, go, Elvis, go." He was so happy and running, and I finally felt good. Upon waking up, I felt it was as real as waking life. I felt better knowing he and I are never really apart. He just had a new job.
That's so cool.
Wow, isn't that something?
I like that one.
So your story better be just as good, Adam.
It's not.
Yeah, tell me about Trophy.
Okay, so I had she was 3/4 Siamese cat, so cream white with a little bit of gold splotches within her fur. Mm-hmm. Beautiful blue eyes, but cross-eyed.
Sure.
But she had this respiratory issue, and when she would breathe, she would sound like someone snoring.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after she died, I think I was 17 at that point, and I'd had that cat 10 years at that juncture, and she wasn't a kitten when we got her. She was probably about 3. So she would have been about 13 years old when she passed. And I had the bed in my bedroom in my mom's house. It was just a regular, twin bed or whatnot. But I would always sleep up against the wall because the wall was always cold. Mm-hmm. So that left the whole other side of the bed open, and I had this giant Chicago White Sox pillow that would be at the bottom of my bed or on the foot of my bed, but up on the bed. And that's where Trophy would sleep. And I would fall asleep every night to her snore. About 4 or 5 days after she died, I woke up to that snoring sound. And for the next 5 to 7 nights, I think it was about a week, that snoring sound was there every single night and did not come back until the night before I left to go to Quincy, Illinois to go to college the first time. That last night, I actually slept in that bed. I heard that noise.
Wow.
And haven't heard it again ever since. But the very last night I slept at my mom's house, really ever living there, Trophy was there that night.
That's incredible. That's a great story. That's a great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you can stay.
Okay.
No, but that was that's really cool. And you got to think, what was the reason behind that? That Trophy just wanted to kind of. Trophy wasn't done with you, at least in that house.
Yeah, I think she wanted to say goodbye. I think her and everybody else knew I was gone for good once I left.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really cool.
You are listening to the best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. Remember, you can hear full past episodes, see upcoming events, and order books of the authors we have on the show by going to ghostboxradio.com. Don't forget to like us over on Facebook, look us up at GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun, and finally, please consider supporting me on Patreon. We have a special, unique audio content that you'll not find anywhere else, plus special episodes. On Patreon, you can find me as GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We'll be back with another guest after the break. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
The best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
We are having a conversation with Stephen Warren Hill, author of the book you can't get, which is called Silver Screen, 40 Classic Horror Movies, Volume 1, 1920 to 1941. You also did a Volume 2 as well. And, I'm not trying to be rude or anything to people, but you are missing out by not having this. This is a very, very nice book, Steve.
Thank you. I am hoping to get these books back into print. It was written as one book, but from the publisher tell us they advise we split it to two because the weight of shipping would make it more expensive if we did one volume alone than it would be to do two separate volumes. But I'm working on updating and correcting some errors in the books and getting them out. One of the things that I took time to do in these books was tell the reader what the best home video edition was at the time, and that's very, very outdated now. So, things like that are not necessary anymore. There's new information that's out there. So, update them some point in the future. That's my hope.
Okay. Nope. That's fantastic. Now, one of the things that we had talked about with Bill was the which I had heard about, and I think it might have even been in some of the documentaries about Frankenstein, and I find it fascinating. It's one of the things I found really like the cultural difference between, 1931 and 2023 is the idea of that the look of the creature. Frankenstein's creature was so frightening to a lot of people that that the whether it's urban legend or what, that people are fainting in the theater upon seeing it. What were you? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can say that when I was working on my book, I did find a story, and I apologize now for not actually finding this anecdote. It's somewhere buried in my book, and I can't remember which movie or which person. But I remember what they wrote, because they said that they were in the movie theater watching whatever the movie was. Let's say it was Frankenstein. And at one point, a woman in the audience stood up, let out this scream, and went running out of the theater. And I believe mentioned possibly also seeing other audience members swoon at points. Okay.
Sure.
And described the effect as electrifying, and how it really kind of chilled the audience to the bone at that kind of reaction. Like, yeah, they were feeling it too. They just didn't actually let out the scream and run out of the theater. And how effective and memorable that was, until they returned to the theater a couple of weeks later and watched the same movie, and the same person got up at the same time in the movie and screamed and ran out of the theater. So did they actually do that, or was it all a gimmick? It's hard to say for sure, but I'm sure that sometimes it was all planned in advance.
I remember watching the film Misery in theaters, and that part where the sheriff is looking in screen, and then his torso blows open from the gunshot. A guy next to me, he all of a sudden you hear "Holy!" and then you know what, and he runs out of the theater. And about 5 minutes later, he just kind of like slinking back into his seat because he feels so stupid. And no, that wasn't me. That was actually truly somebody else. One thing I wanted to mention to you, Steve, is that have you listened to the podcast, The Extras?
No, I haven't.
You might want to. It's really pretty much about the Warner archive and stuff, and we're talking about films that just get a lot of love and stuff, and it's not one that I've actually seen, but it's Robot Monster and all the care that went into that and stuff, and for a film that was shot over 4 days, the way that they took all the restoration and stuff, and to your point, that's exactly it. So
I won't lie, when I got my Robot Monster Blu-ray, the 3D Blu-ray, I wanted to watch it that night on my 3D TV. I was so excited to watch Robot Monster. Now, how unbelievable is that?
What a world!
But it looks incredible.
What a world we live in! What a time to be alive! Blu-ray of Robot Monster. So as we have about 8 minutes left or so, let's talk a little bit about the Val Lewton films.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah. So as much as I love the Universal horror movies, and I do, absolutely I do, I wish that people loved the Val Lewton RKO movies just as much, because I love them just as much. They're a different tone, they're a different feel, but what they do get right is so awesome. And movies like The Seventh Victim and The Curse of the Cat People, and even those are some of the lesser known ones, if you consider that I Walked with a Zombie and The Cat People are probably the better known ones. Yeah. But then there's the ones with Boris Karloff, there's The Body Snatcher, and there's just some amazing work in there. And I know that Martin Scorsese, for example, calls The Seventh Victim as one of the best movies he's ever seen. And I have to agree. I have to agree with him. And I wish more people would see those movies and appreciate them as much as we seem to already appreciate all of the Universal classics and the other studios too. I don't mean to slight the few Warner Brothers. So I just went to see a screening of Dr. X at a local theater, and Dr. X and Mystery of the Wax Museum, brand new 35 millimeter prints in color.
So was it a digital presentation, or was it actually from film?
Actual 35 millimeter prints.
Wow.
And they looked amazing. So I just, there's so many great movies out there, and we don't have to all focus on Bride of Frankenstein, for example, right? As much as awesome as it is, and some people are seeing any of these movies for the first time, go further, dig further, check them all out.
Well, and it's interesting about that too, when you mention that, when you're talking about that, these films are very, very good. They're not known as well. I always think about like the Max Fleischer, animations and stuff. Everyone looks at it from that period of time. They're looking at like Disney and stuff. but it's one of those same things where there's some really good things that's out there. You might have to dig a little bit more, but all these studios were doing things that, experimental. I don't know if I like that word, but certainly doing things differently than the ones that we remember the most. If people want to find these films, are they easily available, or are there like a collection of them, or?
Well, most of them. What I think of as available is
well, you go looking.
Physical media.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
What so many people think of as available is where can I stream it right now? Mm-hmm. And I can't answer that question.
No.
I know that there's a Universal Horror channel on Freevee, and I know that right now a bunch of the Universal movies are on I think Amazon Prime for free, but they'll probably disappear after Halloween.
True.
And they're Universal movies, so whatever service does the Universal stuff, I
Peacock is running a bunch of those on a collection.
Peacock has them, yeah, that's
okay.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the RKO
yeah.
ones though? Yeah,
and that's the kind of thing that they're going to turn up on Turner Classic Movies, but I don't know if they're available for streaming anywhere. Almost all of them have come out on Blu-ray, not all of them. Unfortunately, The Seventh Victim has yet to come out on Blu-ray. And I think I Walked with a Zombie is rumored to be in the hands of Criterion Collection, so hopefully we'll see that someday, but it's not out yet. So yeah, most of these movies are out on Blu-ray in high definition in wonderful restored editions. And I understand that they cost money, but you're really getting value for your buck. I got to tell you that.
It's so funny when you talked about the streaming were available. That actually never even occurred to me. That wasn't what I was asking. It was about the physical media, because, like you, I'm a collector. So it's funny if it's available on streaming, I'll still get the physical disc. But I might watch it on streaming because I'm too lazy to go upstairs, or I'm too lazy to go in the other room and grab it. And but if I really want to watch high quality, good picture, and with extras, then obviously the disc. And that's. Should we be worried that will go away? That not only physical media, but because with that going away, it's probably more likely most extras are going to go away as well.
Mm-hmm. Should we be worried? I think we shouldn't waste time being worried, because there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it.
Right.
It's going to happen. But there's been so much coming out recently. And believe me, folks, physical media is not dead yet.
No.
You would be amazed at how much is still coming out in better and bigger editions all the time. And to get the Universal's put out 2 separate collections of 4 of their classic horror movies on 4K.
Yeah.
And they look incredible.
They do.
And just a side note, for those of you watching the same movie on Blu-ray and on 4K disc on the same television, they're not going to look too much different. But trust me, they really are different.
Yep.
They really are better. So go for the 4K. It's hard to explain that without getting too technical.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And for those who don't understand, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that will give you the comparisons as well. And you could really see I can really see some huge difference there for sure. And I don't know. As we have about a minute and a half left or so, I want to switch gears on you and talk really quickly about something that you're working on that's going to happen in November at the end of the month. For people who are Doctor Who fans, that you are part of a group that puts on a big Chicago Doctor Who convention every Thanksgiving weekend, Chicago TARDIS. That's coming up fast, but you all have a wonderful guest list this year.
Yeah, we've got a lot of doctors coming. I'm looking forward to seeing director Rachel Talalay as a guest.
Yeah.
It's going to be Thanksgiving week. It's going to be the weekend of the Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, and we'll have a new episode that weekend, which is just mind-boggling.
It is.
And I'm the program director for Chicago TARDIS, so you'll see me all weekend long up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get tickets, go to chicagotardis.com, correct?
Yes, that's right.
That's gonna be great. I've been to a number of them, and it's always so much fun to go there and see friends and stuff. So I'm hoping that everyone has a chance. And Minnesota is a hotbed for Doctor Who fans, so consider going out there. Consider checking it out. It's a fantastic convention.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you very much. Now, once again, and Steve, I know from all the years I've known you for,
No, we go back to the 80s.
We go back to the 80s, which is odd because I think we're both still just about to hit 30. Is there anything that's out there, film-wise, that exists, but you have not been able to see it recently, or that's kind of on your must-have, sort of list?
The only thing I can think of is the one movie that probably none of us is ever going to see, London After Midnight, the Lon Chaney vampire movie that has been lost for a long time and probably will never resurface.
The film was believed that the only, whether it's negative or a copy, was in the was in the MGM Vault 7 fire, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You could be right.
Yeah, I think that's where, as well as I think all of the negatives for all the cartoon shorts for Tom and Jerry.
You are listening to the best of GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. Remember, you can hear full past episodes, see upcoming events, and order books of the authors we have on the show by going to ghostboxradio.com. Don't forget to like us over on Facebook, look us up at GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun, and finally, please consider supporting me on Patreon. We have a special, unique audio content that you'll not find anywhere else, plus special episodes. On Patreon, you can find me as GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.